And welcome to In-Game Chat for Saturday, July 31st, 2021. It is Season 15, Episode 25. I'm Scott.
I'm Wendy.
And thanks for... Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
If you'd like to get in touch with us, our phone number is 334-272-9228. Hold your calls till maybe the second hour. But check out ingamechat.net for all the links to get in touch with us. As you can see that RJ isn't here, but he will join us next week. My screen is not formatting the way that it normally should whenever I change stuff. I don't know why that's happening. I'm used to it. Now I have to scroll to read my stuff here. Anyway, check out In-Game Chat for all the links to get in touch with us. If you can find us on Twitter at In-Game Chat. You can find us on Facebook at In-Game Chat. You can find us on Discord as In-Game Chat. All of this stuff is at our website. Go to ingamechat.net. Scroll all the way to the bottom. You can find all the links to get in touch with us and join us. We're on Twitch right now. Go to twitch.tv, type in In-Game Chat. You'll be able to see us and chat with us in the chat room while we broadcast. Let me do this to sync up my audio. There. Okay. Well, RJ is not with us. He is over in Atlanta right now. Oh, also, there's a lot of bad weather going on around us right now. If this station stays on the air, but any of the other stations that we have, and we have 8, go off the air, I've got to go down there and fix it and play something up here to occupy the time. It could get hairy. I'm hoping it doesn't, because yeah. But actually. The guest host could probably take over at that point, and I'll just let him talk. Anyway, speaking of guest hosts, let's get him in now because we haven't had him in the show for a while, but thanks to Discord, we can do stuff like this. James is joining us. Hey, James.
Hey, man. How are you?
You are. Well, you know what kind of a end of last year I had.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no heart attacks and no COVID, so I'm okay. Sleeping like a baby with a CPAP machine now, thanks to, medical equipment can do wonders.
Yeah.
But yeah, so doing that, and yeah, I'm good. And it's been a long time since I talked to you and just ran into you, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, I guess, out in the parking lot or whatever?
Yeah, I think we're out in the store, out in the world, which I don't do a whole lot of myself, but...
Yeah. Try his best just to work home, that's about it, so...
Yeah, I mean, I've been, I've been in a no-work state now for 14 months now?
Yeah, I guess so. They haven't.
They sent. Yeah, my job. The whole reason I moved back down here, closed up shop because of COVID. It's not really something that could keep happening. I mean, they still worked. I shouldn't say they closed up shop, but we didn't produce shows anymore. So not much need for a stagehand when you're not producing theater.
Yeah. Any of that coming back?
So I got backburnered.
Time?
Yeah, no, it's looking good. Yeah, I got a job offer to come retake some version of my job. So I'll be back to work on contract, staying down here for a while.
Staying down here? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, good. I'm glad you got the job and stuff, but good to know you.
Yeah, well, I'm supremely happy that entire industry is coming back. I mean, obviously everybody knows how badly it affected, the industries that, we talk about a lot on this show. But, there's a lot of other things that took a hard hit, and theater was one of them. And it's only now, in pretty much every market and in pretty much every form, only now starting to come back at all. And so different theaters around the country, and several here in town actually are starting to rebuild and put together seasons and start to look toward the future and get back to maybe not normal, but get back to work at least. So good for me. I just have to hold out a little longer till my contract starts. But
at least during the pandemic, you kept the monitor display people in business. So
yeah, didn't I? Man, I got to tell you.
He sent me a screenshot of what he's got set up, and wow.
Yeah, I couldn't. Well, so I couldn't decide. I haven't been able to decide for the longest time what I wanted to do. I've been sitting on placeholder equipment for a long time, right? PC placeholder equipment. It's not terrible, but this time, or not this time last year, but like spring of last year, we're all thinking like Zen 3 is going to come out because I was still sitting on a Zen 2 processor for my core.
Right.
Not terrible, but it was like a 2600, and it was fine. But I was already looking to the future, looking forward to Zen 3, looking forward to the next gen of GPUs.
Yep.
And so I went ahead and upgraded my motherboard because I knew I'd need that for the Zen 3 part. And I'm sitting on a 2070 non-super. And it's not bad. It's not bad, but I really wanted to upgrade. And, we all know how that went.
Yeah.
I don't have a GPU. I still haven't gotten... I will say that the Zen 3 CPU stuff is now... The CPU stuff seems mostly resolved.
Yeah, it does. It does. I tested out somebody put some kind of stock tracker Chrome expansion thing on there, and so I tested it out at Best Buy's website to see if I could get I think it was a Zen 3 something, but it required you to wait before you could put it in your cart, and you had to wait and get a queue time and everything, all this whatever, and so it lets you find a better queue time. And it did. It went from a 10-minute to a 5-minute, and then when the 5 minutes were up, it let me add it to my cart. So it is better available, at least the CPU portion of things. GPUs, of course, nope.
Yeah, utterly different. I've still held off upgrading my CPU because I'm GPU bound. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In almost every single game, I'm absolutely GPU bound right now. So. Yeah. I'll do the CPU at some point. Like I said, they've come down. I don't shoot terribly high. I try to shoot somewhere in the mid-range price performance area.
Gotta have something to power all those monitors.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? I had, some budget set aside for upgrading the core and the GPU. And it just kept not happening and kept not happening. And I, at the outset of my layoff or leading up to it sort of last year, I put in an order for an index. I was going to go VR, and then I just kept thinking about it, and while I was waiting on that order to sort of come through, and I realized I got nothing against VR. We've talked about it even as long back as when I was still on the show. I've used several VR headsets. I'm not a room scale guy. I don't like it. I don't want to walk around my living room crawling through virtual tunnels and stuff. I'm glad that people enjoy that. Don't care. I'm all about the cockpit games.
Yeah,
I want to sit in my spaceship cockpit, in my airplane cockpit, in my truck cab. That's all I want to do. I want to sit in a chair with a mask on my face, fly spaceships. Real simple for me. So I don't need all the extra garbage. And while I was realizing that, and then beyond that, my normal playing use case, man, as you can see, I'm very multi-monitor. I'm very multitasking. And while I do love a limited amount of VR, it's not how I sit at my computer. It's not how I interface with my machine. And I'm very comfortable with what I have. I got my monitors. I got, I need to be able to see where my whiskey is. I need to be able to look at the various monitors playing videos or Netflix or YouTube or something like that. It's just, so it didn't match my use case. So the budget for that and the budget for the new core and the GPU and everything just kind of went unused. And seeing no real break in the the issues of availability and pricing, I was like, I don't know. I got to do something. I'm getting bored. So I had been looking at, and you and I have talked for years about ultra wides and stuff. And it's a weird jump. You're putting yourself, every time you jump up, to another monitor, 1080p was the standard for a long time. It's still a really useful low-end standard for certain things. And taking that jump up to 1440p, which is a good mid-range for me. I'm not really a 4K person either. But you raise the floor. Now there's a new floor for performance, right? Now you're never going to be really below 1440p. Can your computer handle that? I had the same concerns when I went up to the ultra wide as well. Like,
Yeah.
is this something that I'm going to be okay with? Because it's not, it's not cheap. So, I don't know. I was a little worried, but I've been playing a lot of flying games in the past year or so, and I thought like ultra wide would be really, really nice for Microsoft Flight Sim, be really good for Elite, really good for DCS, really good for all these things, assuming I can handle it. And I'm not getting a GPU anytime soon, so I thought I'd give it a try. And I'm pleasantly surprised. I expected to not maybe really enjoy ultra wides, but the support is almost universal now, it seems. I haven't run into anything really that doesn't like it, that doesn't display properly. Yeah, it's really nice. So, yeah, all that money went into monitors. So I'll have to reinstate that budget at some level before I can, I don't know, get the GPU up to match it.
Well, yeah, and when you can get the GPU, exactly. So AC Wraith was asking in the chat room, should we see another camera here? Because you were talking about.
Oh no, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's a picture of a setup.
Scott could see, yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry, yeah. I just took a quick picture of how I have my setup kind of temporarily put together right now.
Playing so what is that? That looks like WoW from this one. No, that's not WoW.
It's Final Fantasy 14, which is a topic I think we should address, the WoW to 14 pipeline.
You're going to be better at that than I am, since I don't play.
Oh, sure,
either,
yeah. But I mean, certainly you're aware of the general,
obviously,
sort of cloud of garbage surrounding.
If you could see, and I could share it with you. You know how I do the little news stuff that I do, where I put everything in order of like, here's what happened this week, so we can look at the headlines and all that stuff.
Right.
My regular news is whatever, and then my Blizzard lawsuit news is just as much.
It's so category.
It's massive.
Yeah.
And it just got worse and worse with them. And I don't know that it's going to get better as far as the company itself.
No, I think you're probably right. I mean, to the point of what you mentioned, like what I was playing, like I had Final Fantasy 14 on the screen, and I've always been a multi-game kind of guy. I'm not, I've played World of Warcraft and then I've quit for ages at a time, and then I'll go back and then I'll quit. It's pretty common for a lot of people. And there has been, and I don't know how aware you are of it. This all sort of predates the current troubles, the lawsuit and everything. But there had been a big, relatively big exodus from WoW over to Final Fantasy 14. I mean, they've been going side by side, clicking along, doing really well, not really in competition with one another for years now. 14's a much, much smaller game, but it's been more consistently successful. They keep good subscription numbers. It's very well managed. It's a really good game. It's very different from WoW, but similar in enough ways that, anybody that's played one would feel more or less comfortable in the other. And, there was setting aside the lawsuit stuff, which is taking up kind of all the oxygen in the room when we discuss Blizzard, WoW in particular, all of that stuff. But I mean, this may sound like an understatement to certain people, but World of Warcraft is garbage right now. It's terrible.
I had read, I passed through I scrolled through a headline that I didn't use, but it was something. Let's see if I can find that again real quick. Mark all that as read, and then show me all of it, because it was just up there a minute ago, and it talked about something about how Blizzard's reputation collapsed in just 3 years. Yeah, and I'm guessing that has to do with WoW.
Yeah, it's
probably a couple of things.
It's very complicated. It's just, where the start date is changes based on who you talk to, but generally speaking, the quality of the game it's not gone consistently downhill, right? And we're talking about their flagship, their flagship series here, but they have. I mean, the game is near on 20 years old, which is ridiculous. It's really absurd to me.
I know. It goes back to
like
when I was playing City of Heroes.
Yeah, it came out the same year.
That's how I lost you at City of Heroes.
Yeah.
You went to go fish and never came back.
Yeah, well, City of Heroes was what? We started playing that in spring
Daddy went out for
04.
a pack of smokes, and he never showed back.
Yeah, Daddy walked out the front door with a fishing pole and a sword and a shield, and never saw him again.
Left us superheroes back then.
04.
God, I was
spring of 04, and then WoW came out in November of 04. EverQuest 2 also came out that year. But it's heyday of MMOs coming out all over the place.
Yeah, because then once WoW did it, everybody tried. It was like, let's put ours out there because WoW was just so successful.
It was, and it was, it was great for a long time. A lot of arguments to be made about mechanics and basic gameplay issues, but they developed simple concepts that already existed in Warcraft. I don't know that you ever played any of the original RTS things, but there was a lot of interesting, decent story. There was a lot of stuff there to develop. It was a really good time for 6 or 8 years there where they really teased out all the details of their own world building and expounded on it and went into greater detail. And after a while, I mean, not necessarily through any fault of their own, but they essentially became creatively bankrupt. There was nothing left from the older generation of people who had worked at Blizzard previously who initiated and generated all of these stories. They got to a point where they're having to do a lot of it on their own. And I mean, I don't know. Everything runs its course, and the story issues, the lore issues, combined with this eternal, unending reformulation of the game every 2 years with a new expansion. It wasn't just like, here's new worlds and new zones and new dungeons to go through or any of that. It wasn't that simple. They have gotten to the point where they were fundamentally remaking a lot of the mechanics of the game every 2 years, and it becomes absurd, right? Everything that you would do over the course of 2 years was just utterly thrown out the window.
Yeah.
And you have to start essentially from a 0 point again. And because these are essentially new mechanics, new functional parts of the game, it was broken. You would go into every launch in a beta state because they weren't iterating. They were making entirely new concepts every couple of years, and they were broken. And you'd spend a couple of years with broken concepts, and by the time you get your head around them and your hands really on them, and as a player and everything understand it, and by the time the developers really got sort of locked in on it, it was time for a new expansion and a new truck full of garbage.
Yep. And
it's really exhausted a lot of people. And I think for a lot of people, this most recent expansion was a maybe do or die for them. And it looks like it's die because it's garbage. It's really, really bad. It runs very, very poorly. They've implemented a lot of their systems very poorly. They've done, what is referred to as a borrowed power systems. And typically they do that every expansion. Now they're doing it every patch. And it's just, a lot of people got frustrated.
Yeah.
And decided to hop over onto the Final Fantasy XIV train just to see what's there. And
a lot of people liked what was there.
A lot of people liked what was there.
You liked what was there before it was a reason to even switch, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I played it. I didn't play the 1.0 version of this, but I did play it when it relaunched.
When it did the relaunch. That's right, you did, because we were still doing. You were still doing the show at the time, I think. Because we talked about that.
I think that was 2013, maybe, if I remember correctly. And it's only... And
your other one was what? Guild Wars, right?
Played Guild Wars, yeah. I played Star Wars Old Republic. We played that for a bit.
Yep.
I've played, at least for a time, just about everything there was.
In the MMO market, yeah, I would agree. You were there for, I think, the Conan.
Oh yeah, played Conan. That was cool for a minute.
Yeah.
Played Rift. Played
that's right, Rift.
Elder Scrolls Online for a minute. I've given it all a shot. I think that 14 is has the greatest stewardship of any of the MMOs. Its developers are consistent in their involvement. It doesn't really get handed off to many subsequent mixed teams over time. It's not like there's, too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak, with a thing like WoW. It's Japanese. It is incredibly Japanese. And everything that we've sort of come to understand about the structure of Japanese development is present here. And it has been very well cared for. It is oozing with the love and care the developers have for their world and for their game. And whether you sort of like its trappings, it's heavily story based. There is sometimes a maddening amount of dialogue to get through. It is a Final Fantasy game. It is that first and foremost.
Right. But in an MMO setting.
But an MMO setting, yeah. And it is well adapted to it. And
they've done great with it. You said, what was that, 2013 when that launched?
2013, yeah. This fall will be their fourth expansion launch.
Wow.
This November.
Fourth expansion in that many years?
Yeah. They're very steady.
Yeah.
Their update path, not just expansion to expansion, but their how would you say, their the internal content updates that MMOs have. You have a new expansion every 2 or so years, and then within that you have major story updates and major content updates. They run pretty close to clockwork. The pandemic year notwithstanding.
Yeah.
So they it is a little, it is very, very Japanese, very weeby, but it is nonetheless at its core a well-designed MMO, and it is easy to see, like as an example, and I don't want to overstate it, but we're now running into like I said, the fifth expansion, and without too much manipulation of the story, it has essentially been a single continuous logical story progression the entire way through. It isn't just a complete upheaval of the story or the mechanics every single time.
Yeah.
And that engenders a lot of respect from the people who are very invested in it. And it means that, moving from one setting to the next isn't necessarily so abrupt. And when you're putting together, a live service game, I think that's kind of important. It certainly seems to be important to a lot of the players. And you can simply tell that in general, the developers respect the game and the game respects the player. It respects your time. It respects different motivations. There is more here to do than I think. There is more in this game than I think any player can do. I'm even the people that are very hardcore about it, I'm unaware of any of them being essentially completists, because there is simply too much. The game just offers too much. It's
too much. I know that I think we were obviously, I was playing Destiny with the group there, and one of our guys, they were urging me, for whatever reason, I hoard everything, obviously. That's just my nature if you've seen my house. As Wendy shakes her head. Yeah, it's so I also hoard like it's a in-game currency called Bright Dust, and it's stuff that you can purchase from the in-game store type stuff. It's not the other whatever. There's a bunch of different currencies in Destiny for people who are listening and don't know. But this currency is where you can buy special items, and it's the only way you can spend it. And you get it pretty good amounts, but I just don't ever spend mine. So I told the group once, we were running a raid or something, and they were talking about picking up the stuff, and they don't have the Bright Dust. They got to do a couple of things to get it. And I said, I'm sitting on like $140,000 worth of like Bright. They're shocked. And one of the guys said, well, I don't have any room to say because I just bought a whale. And I said, what's a whale? And he talked about Final Fantasy 14 being a whale, an actual, like a transport. It's a giant whale where you can carry the team or something.
Yeah, they're I got to give it to them. They're the how do you want to say, the collectible, the non like
stuff you got to pay for.
Yeah, but or the stuff you can earn. They're pretty good. They do have like a really hopping real currency cash shop.
Yeah.
But the cosmetic game, the collectible game, the mount game, like that, I know WoW like produces a lot of stuff, but FF14 has a lot of other games beat up one side and down the other when it comes to the cosmetics and mounts and collectibles being really interesting,
worth the money. You mean?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's up to the purchaser, but it's a really powerful part of this game. I mean, it's a strong part of any kind of multiplayer game, the cosmetic end of things, the fashion side, or however they want to, like in every game I've ever played, essentially. But it's real strong in this game, and do a very, very good job of it.
Yeah.
Again, in that sense of, in my opinion, respecting the player, respecting their time, respecting their money, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. That has never really been like my motivation.
That's
these kinds of things.
That's why I'm sitting on how much I'm sitting on, because I just don't.
Yeah.
The cosmetics don't. It's not a thing for me.
I have a from the last time I played, which has been a few years, but I have a max level job character, and a black mage, little just a mage type deal, and like I always keep him glamored. That's what they call their transmog fashion, whatever they call it, their glamour system. And I always keep my dude like glamored in some little level 10 poverty robe, just like old maybe level 10.
No. You started cutting out there for a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope, you're back. You're back. It's all good. It's all good. Hey, we need to take a break anyway. We're at the bottom of the hour here. So when we come back, we'll find another topic to talk about. We got plenty. There's the Steam Deck that I haven't talked to you about at all to go over.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, and I don't know, plenty more. So we're going to take a break here. We've got music. There was a lot of games that released this week, but a lot of them released towards the end of the week, which doesn't give me any time to grab or any time for anybody to put up music. So I went to my Humble Bundle because it's the end of the month, and so I picked all my games. And so this is where all the music comes from, is from the Humble Choice selection that you could pick from. So this is from a game called Hammer Ting. I don't know what it is. I've never played it, but it is the main menu music for Hammer Ting. We'll be back with more of In-Game Chat right after this. And welcome back to In-Game Chat. Music here from a game called Paradise Killer. Knife and Crystal is the name of the track. Welcome back to the show. James hanging out with us through Discord. Haven't talked to him in it's been a long time, actually. Very long time. Especially about gaming at all. I think we would tune in together to watch, some E3 stuff or make a comment about whatever we're seeing, that sort of thing. But really haven't touched base with you on the gaming side of things in quite a while. And we're going to get to that, like what you've been playing in the many years it's been, what are standing out for you, and what you've enjoyed from. I don't know. I say new stuff, but it'll be new that you and I haven't talked about. Because God,
that's a long list.
It really is. It's a very long list. So we'll get to that. But I guess out of the new stuff and something that you joined in on the conversation. I think was it last week or the week before last. I think was about the Steam Deck. The handheld PC basically is what it is. I love the idea. And I don't know. I don't know. I kind of feel like this might be the one that Steam gets right. Not that they didn't get the others wrong. They just didn't last.
Yeah.
The Steam machines, the Steam Link, the controller's still around, I guess. I haven't used that thing in a long time. And it does what it needs to do, but it didn't really light any fires,
Yeah. For myself, I don't really okay, so like the initial reaction is, and I know where this comes from, like, so I don't really disagree with it, is that they abandon hardware. I think that's not technically true. I think that they're a very experimental company. I think that they're sometimes just looking to, they got the money. They have a lot of developers that want to follow their own interests and motivations. They come out with an idea, and a lot of times I believe they're just hoping to seed the market. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They want to toss something out, see if it initiates development elsewhere, which will then obviously benefit them.
Well, this was
anything that can play a PC game is a benefit to them.
Yeah, this was a real interesting time for them to do this. Given a week before, I think a lot of people were expecting some amazing Switch upgrade from Nintendo, and just got an OLED screen, and then this thing comes out, which. Obviously, upon first glance, I would say upon very long stare, looks like a Switch. Yeah, it's got that sort of. Obviously, it's got that design, and which is the only way you can. I say it's the only way. It's not the only way, but seems to be the best way you can design a screen of that size in a handheld form with the amount of controller space you also need as a handheld.
The form factor
we've been there
has been the form factor for this kind of thing has been subject to 30 years of evolution, just about. It looks like a Switch, but it also looks like a
Lynx
a Vita. It also looks like a Game Gear. It looks like a GBA. So if there was like a radically new way to do this, I think we would have hit on it already. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's like better ways to execute it, but when you calculate, like when you start figuring in like mass producing it, manufacturing and everything, like obviously this is pretty good.
But even the design of it was just a situation. Yeah, it looks like a Switch, but tell me what's in it.
Yeah.
Tell me what's in it. What does it do? The battery life, that great. Hopefully that'll come with an increase when they do their version 2 or whatever they do later on, because I think the battery life.
But let me stick right there with you for a second, right?
Yeah.
Because this is not the first time. This is not the first time we will have had like words on this issue, right? A discussion about this, where you see a piece of technology coming out, and your first thought is, man, I can't wait for the second version.
That used to never be in my vocabulary. It was like, I'm getting the first one.
It's become a lot more consistent, because as someone who is, and you may be more above anyone that I know personally, are a willing early adopter of new technology, new gaming technology in particular. And if there's anything that you've learned, particularly as competition's gotten tighter, as we approach various kinds of diminishing returns with different technology, sometimes the first iteration and even the second iteration of something is not that great.
Yeah.
And you need, the second or the third or some subsequent evolution of a product to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
And it just speaks a little bit to like our to consumer, I guess, not exhaustion exactly, but the kind of reticence or hesitance about like nobody ever really gets it right the first time, do they?
Right.
And there is that presumption even before anybody's ever had this thing in their hand. Like right now it's a mock-up and a sales pitch. You know, it's a literal bill of goods with no product attached at this point. And I don't, and I know that some people listening will know that I do not like or trust game companies or technology companies. I will play their things if they're good. I will use their technology, but I am not a fan of anything. And so I start from a place of either neutrality or distrust with a lot of new products, and then need to be convinced that, okay, this is worth my money.
Yeah.
So I think the difference between us though is, and I feel a little bit like I'm on an island with this. My interest in the Steam Deck is near zero.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't hate it, and I don't care. I don't commute on mass transit to work.
Yep.
I don't. I don't know. I don't game on the go. I don't game while sitting on my couch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, you've seen the picture of my setup, and you've known me long enough to know, like, I really like my PC.
Yeah.
It's not a cramped little desk shoved into a corner of a bedroom. It's giant monitors and lots of them, and my comfortable chair, and all of my things. And I very much like my use case, like the way that I play. And the Steam Deck literally offers me nothing.
No, I know. I completely understand. It was one of the...
Yeah, I do not care about it. Like, I'm sure, I hope it succeeds. I have nothing against it, and I guess we'd be better off if it did. But I see a lot of discussion about it. Like, and again, as you said, people already hoping, like, man, I wish that they would sacrifice this to give me more battery life. And other people are like, no, I don't care about the battery life. Like, it's fine, because what it's doing is good, and I'm going to use it this way.
Yeah.
Like, getting a single device like that, and being able to satisfy all the people that are interested in it is really, really hard to do, and it almost never happens.
Mm-hmm.
As evidenced by what you said, people were hoping for some sort of hardware revision on the Switch, and they didn't get it. And they're, I don't want to say people were angry, but there was a little gloominess about it.
Oh no, there was disappointment, sure, because I mean the expectations were much higher than what we got. I don't think anybody was expecting just a screen refresh. I think they expected something a little better out of it, but it was just a better screen is all you're getting out of that whole Switch deal. And again, I'm with you again, because when we've probably talked about it, or if not, I've talked about it on the show since then. But this isn't really, you and I and where we're broadcasting from isn't really a commute area type thing. It is not a long time. We don't leave the house 2 hours early because our job is just 30 minutes away, but we have to take multiple different public transits to get there.
Yeah, I don't catch a train to anywhere, man.
Exactly. It's not like that. Where, a pocket system like I say a pocket system, a system like a Switch, or like the Steam Deck, or you can go even smaller than that. Go back to the 3DS days. There just wasn't a lot of that whole travel being done to where I would have, and if I am traveling, I'm driving, and I can't do it then either. So it doesn't. It's very strange to say, but it's sort of regional.
Really, that's not untrue. And it's easy to remember. And and some people have like, and I get it, man. If you're at school, like if you're in university or something, and you've got like a little bit of time between courses and lectures or whatever, it's like, it's a great thing, man. Throw it in your bag and keep it with you. Like if you're out and about a lot, or if like work is if you're at work and it's the kind of thing where you have downtime. Yeah. Like, again, nothing against it, but none of that fits my personal use case. And every time I think about the ways that I could sort of use it at home, the ways that I think it might fit into my home, I'm like, nah, just buy like a Surface tablet or something. You know, I don't know. It's not for me, and that doesn't mean it isn't for many people. But I feel utterly like on the outside of the discussion. Like I don't care.
I guess my interest in it, if you going back to last year, and obviously that is an outlier of a year, if ever there was one. But this place was kind of empty last year during the summer, at least, and so I would bring the Switch with me, and during my downtime, of which I had actually a lot, given what everything was going on. Animal Crossing came out, and I was just doing that, or I was playing Burnout Paradise on the Switch or something. Whatever the case, just to throw in some time. And so I think my headspace is still there when I see something like the Steam Deck. Ooh, that'd be great to have, and then I can play Destiny on the go or something like that, or whatever. But you're absolutely right in the sense that, and I especially look at the past few weeks that I've had now that everything has come out of the COVID cloud type thing, where I don't have the time that I had to sit there and go through and do any kind of handheld gaming type of stuff, which is great for the Switch because I can put it in its dock. I put it up there. The Steam Deck also has a dock you can put in to put it and put a display up on a TV. Again, my mind went to, well, that's great because then I can play it like my Switch. No. Unless they do I guess maybe the Steam controller could work in that regard. I'm not sure, but really, I just get up and go to your room where the keyboard and mouse is because the input's much better to play that way. And so the idea of hooking it up to a TV doesn't interest me whatsoever. The idea of playing it as a handheld does, if I have the means to, if my environment calls for such a thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And it doesn't. It doesn't. And I haven't traveled, as far as doing my big trips and stuff, it's been since 2019, obviously. And it ain't going to be this year either that it happens either. So I haven't gotten back into that whole thing just yet. But it excites me only the fact that I really hope it succeeds so that they can make them better and better and better by the time that I do end up around to getting one, where it's like, now you're good. Now I got it and I can get this. And maybe it benefits me in the whole handheld department. But and for what I understand, I know Steam has said that they're testing out everything. But from what I understand, even the reason that I was happy about it was because of Destiny. That doesn't work on it, from what I understand. I don't think they've gotten around the whole. What is it? The third party.
Anti-cheat.
The anti-cheat. That's what it is. Yeah.
That's their big hurdle that they have to. I mean,
it's a big hurdle for a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're talking early like spring next year or something for launch. Is that right?
I thought it was December of this year, but maybe that's
is it that soon?
I believe the first pre-orders are going out in December of this year, and then it started backing up, kind of like you do with the Apple products. The later you get in it, the later you can see when you're going to be getting it. Of course, that can all move up and change. Who knows? But yeah, I would say end of this year or early next year, probably. I don't know how well that's gonna. We know how things do. They don't necessarily stick to dates. Although Valve is pretty good about sticking to dates when they announce them.
Yeah, when they make them.
They make them. So I don't know. There's going to be plenty of people who are going to get to beta test this thing. And be the guinea pigs.
I think it's going to be really neat for a lot of people, and it's maybe going to. I'll be a little more generous and fair and a little less critical and say that what is the entry level one, like 500? Is that what it is? Is it from like 400 to 600?
I was going to say it may be like three
like
or four. I think it's 3 or 4. Okay. Maybe, I don't remember.
That's if you consider it. If you consider someone that doesn't have a PC at all, that's obviously that's a different discussion. This is a really, really nice entry level.
That completely changes the discussion.
Essentially all-in-one gaming PC or an option as opposed to like going with a pre-built of any sort. So like that's certainly good. I certainly don't see that it detracts from anything. I just, like I said, the closest I could come to a use case that fits for me is like having it on the desk as a they showed some shots of like somebody like
second screen type
having
stuff.
It just sitting on their desk with like running a second monitor, and it's you can use the touch screen on it, and do a lot of stuff like that, and I was like, that's really cool. I kind of do some things like that for like when I'm playing flight sims, with with the tablet I already own. But again, that's the issue. Is like, well, I've already got things that can kind of do that. So, certainly nothing against it. I wish it the best, and I interested to hear what people who are eager to have one have to say when they do get it.
I'm very interested in that, especially that hands-on time from people who aren't writing articles about it, from just people.
Just from people, just from people. I really like to hear from. I prefer hearing from people. in these sorts of matters.
Most of the time, yes. I can show you thread after thread of whatever the Twitter reactions from people who get into movies before they've been released or something, and it's all just praise, and then you actually get to see it. It's all just crap.
Yeah, you and I talked about this before.
I know
about the early access goggles, right? The exclusivity, the what is it? The joy, the euphoria of exclusivity.
Yep.
It used to be really, really common it still is, but it used to be really common in games when you would get like a beta access, and just the act of new content, seeing new things, and being in a very exclusive group of people who's seeing it. Man, people are just like, oh my God, this is amazing. You're not really evaluating it on its merits. You're evaluating your experience, which is informed largely by the circumstances,
Yeah, exactly. And it falls into the same path of watching especially this year, watching a theatrical release on HBO Max and saying, coming away from it and saying, thank God I didn't buy a ticket to see this. So it's that's where it comes around to that, where you can experience it outside of that. You are getting like that first release sort of feel, and you're getting to watch it, but you're not putting in the investment. And so I don't necessarily say that you can be more critical about it, but there is something that is turned off, so that you're not.
Well, your biases aren't as strong.
Exactly. Yeah. Which I know is somebody who has to review this. They have to figure all that out for themselves and turn all that stuff off. But rarely do you ever see that happen just coming from like a general public, people who got into it early type of thing. When it's something like that, they're fueled on the zeitgeist of exclusivity or whatever it may be.
Yeah, people love exclusivity, man. It's worth a lot emotionally.
Yep. And can do a lot of harm. Actually, that was one of the one of the things they used to say, where this is why we're not releasing demos. Why can't you release a demo? Because word will get out and then nobody will buy our game. We'd rather you buy it and find out it's bad,
because our game sucks,
than try it for free and find out it's bad and never buy it.
How about instead of a demo, I give you a pre-order?
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool, right? Because see, you want a demo and I want a pre-order, so we'll compromise and I'll give you a pre-order.
Yeah,
Love companies.
Yeah, that's right.
Giant
that's right.
Corporations.
Yep. We're going to take a break here, and when we come back, we'll talk more with James. Hadn't been on the show, and we were trying to figure out the last time you were on. I want to say it was last time you were on. We talked about Prey, although I don't necessarily know that Prey had just come out. I think it had actually been out for a while, and it was something I think we had both just played, and that was what we talked about at the time. And you were in studio at the time, but I can't remember when that was and how far back that goes. So we'll try and uncover the games that we've played in the many years that we've been absent. Get around to that. We've got music here from Bee Simulator. We're going to play that, and then we're going to come back with more of In-Game Chat right after this. And welcome back to In-Game Chats. Music here from a game called Deadly Days. It's just the level 1 music. I don't know, all these games that we're highlighting here for music here can be found on the Humble Choice bundle. If you go to the humblebundle.com, I think you can get it there. Welcome back to the show. We are talking with James, who we have not talked with in a while, and I actually need a favor from you, James, if you're there. He is not there. His mic's muted. Okay. So he must...
I am
Nope,
here.
there he is. Okay.
I muted my mic.
Yeah, I thought you stepped
crazy is
away.
that?
Yep.
Yep.
So I have to run downstairs and take care of something. Can you talk for a while?
What do you want me to talk about?
I have
Give me a
no
subject.
idea.
Yeah?
I don't
Talk
know.
about some video games or something.
Video games would be good.
I need somebody in the chat. Give me something.
You can talk to Wendy.
Okay.
Yeah, she's here.
That's
Wendy, this is
yeah,
James.
that's
James,
fine.
This is Wendy.
Hey,
Hi,
Wendy.
James.
I'm
She
James.
plays. She's seen your picture around the house, obviously, in the photos that we
Oh
had.
yeah, from the good old
The Overlook days.
which the Six Flags trips and whatnot.
Six Flag trips,
things.
the Guitar Hero, I think, the wedding.
Oh
all that stuff.
All that old stuff.
I'm going to run downstairs. It's going to take me probably 30 seconds, and then I'll be back up. So,
All right.
I'll be as quick as I can.
No,
I hate that this happened.
You got to run away.
Yep, I do. I'll be right back.
Yeah, it's no problem. You know what I'll actually do? I'll actually because sometimes I talk too much, and I didn't actually finish one of my thoughts when we took a break at the bottom of the last hour.
Take it away, James. It's
Is
all
it,
yours.
I was talking about, and I know Scott's followed this a little bit, but I was talking about Blizzard and their problems, like, the Activision Blizzard issues and stuff. And I had gone into, it's really funny because, I really like FF14. I think it's a lovely place. I don't actually think it's a particularly good, it's a good place for refugees. It's obviously a good game to play. I don't know that a lot of people that were really in love with WoW are going to be in love with this game long term. I find it absolutely charming that people. Progression in this game is very different from WoW. Like you absolutely have to step through the story at the pace they determine for you in the order they determine for you. You can't. There is no. No, that's not true. There is a mechanic to skip forward in the story. If you have money and you want to pay real money, they'll let you do that. But generally speaking, like that's been, you can't just like catch up in a couple of weeks and go to end game with your friends. And so that, among other things, I think is like really maybe not what people want. But means that a lot of the refugees, a lot of these players that have jumped over from World of Warcraft are essentially playing a 10-year-old vision of the game, a 10-year-old version of the game, and still loving it. I think that says an awful lot for it because the game improves significantly over time and as it goes on. But I think something that's going to be very interesting this is good for Final Fantasy XIV. It's super hilarious that they ran out of, virtual keys for the game. That's really, really funny. That demand was that high. They're instituting, AFK logouts again and queues and stuff like that, which is unprecedented during a content downturn. But I think what's interesting is that a lot of Blizzard was already in a bad spot simply because of the quality of their product. And they were sort of getting beaten up within the related communities for a while over the garbage tier quality of their game. And the lawsuits, the revelations about misconduct and abuse and all of that stuff, that was, it's certainly not a smokescreen or anything, but it's not even an intended diversion, but it's obviously this is like a double whammy of problems for them. It isn't like they're only suffering because of their internal management practices. They're suffering because of their internal management practices and their product is crap. So even if they can resolve these issues through a lawsuit or through settlements or through even reforming their internal management, they still have to figure out how to put out a product that's not crap. I really don't know if they're up to it. I have to be honest. I don't know if they're up to it.
Are you specific? By the way, I'm back. Topic of I'm just going to throw myself into the topic of conversation, I guess, figuring it out that it's about the whole Blizzard Activision situation. But were you elaborating?
I was just trying to put a button on it. Basically,
were you elaborating like on the Blizzard side? Because Activision, while Activision puts out crap, they do. It's crap that sells. When you're talking about Call of Duty, obviously. And I would even say maybe on that on the Blizzard side, maybe not in the WoW sort of things, but I know Overwatch was doing great for them.
Yeah, they have great IP, and it's extremely valuable IP. It cannot be left. They can't sacrifice any of it.
And they're trying on Diablo 4 now, and I think their other big announcement was the Diablo 2 remaster, I think, or whatever that was.
Yeah, and then they, they tripped over their own member there when they did the Warcraft 3 sort of remaster.
Yeah, I know.
And then the backstory of that whole thing was like,
glad you still know how to censor yourself on there.
Yeah, it was a close one. But a lot of that was like, again, here's some more information about how they're very poorly run, about how they're mismanaged, about how there's bad blood and sort of friction between the different internal teams. Like they're in bad shape, and so the lawsuit and they absolutely need to be. And I don't like knock down a peg ain't even it. Like they need to be cut off at the knees. Yeah. Like the company needs to be.
Kotick got to go.
Yeah, like Hercules need to throw the boulder into the river and clean out the stables. You know what I mean? Like they got to wash it away. They are too far gone.
Yeah.
But the property, the IP is too valuable. So they actually have a multitude of problems there. Like, and from like a top down perspective, I mean, the lawsuit getting sued by the state, that's pretty bad. But
normally we hear about things, but it comes from individual, workers, individual complaints. It comes from somebody who is suing the company, which is not only just a brave thing to do when you're talking about a company like Activision Blizzard. When you're talking about any kind of a company and the one person going after a company, that's a tough thing to do. When you bring the state into it going after a company, that's a little bit different. You feel like you actually do have somebody on your side in that regard.
A lot harder to just pay your way out of it too.
Yeah, and then of course this is the what is it, the little snowball that's just going down the hill and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and as it goes, it's knocking over these other companies that are also doing the same thing.
Who got landed on now? Ubisoft?
Ubisoft is the one getting hit now, which they were getting hit before this broke, of course, but the stuff that this does, it just, it's like throwing up the signal flare across the mountains. They see one fire and they're like, all right, let's light ours now.
It's every metaphor. A signal fire starts a feeding frenzy, which triggers an avalanche, right? Like if you want to mix your metaphors, it's all of that stuff.
It is,
and it's fine. That's what's needed. That's fine. That's definitely what's needed. I think, ultimately, Ubisoft to be a separate discussion, but at least for Blizzard, they both have to figure out their internal culture and remember, frankly, how to make video games. Well, Lord, that's hard. They're in trouble, man. They're in big trouble. Not in the short term necessarily, but in the medium to long term. That company's in a lot of trouble.
Especially with whatever comes up out of this lawsuit and that they find and all this stuff, man. And I mean, it got, Wendy's looked at it, but there was this whole, it was the whole Bill Cosby room they had back in 2014.
I mean, you can't, first off, you shouldn't, but what are you doing, dude?
God. I mean, so much stuff came out, and, we were going to go down the list here. Like I said, it was a lot of articles that we had. The Blizzard president internally comments on the troubleshooting harassment, and then the employees say that the president speaking was not, that was something that they didn't buy or didn't believe, or it fell. It was in. Oh God, what am I trying to say? It was insincere, I suppose, is the best way to put that, or something like that. Was that it carried no weight on the apology, and then I mean, it just kept snowballing. And then this whole thing about they were at BlizzCon, which was a convention, and a bunch of the people who work for Blizzard had the whole thing with this, I don't know what it was, but it was something having to do with Bill Cosby way before this whole thing became way before Cosby became what he became, or at least what people knew he was. And then what was the other thing? Then they hired a law firm to deal with this, but that law firm is known for going after unions and shutting them down, which, again, not a good look. They hired the law firm to go into their allegations and everything else that's going on with them, but that law firm, its major thing that it does, it goes after unions and keeps companies from having their employees unionize.
They go after organized opposition. And granted, law firms can be huge and they can handle things in different ways, but you just want to talk about read the situation, man. Read the room.
God, they were not doing that.
So they're an ugly group of people and have been for a long time. It's true. This is not new. These allegations go back ages, which is terrible. Mm-hmm. But they continue up to the present, which is maybe worse.
Yeah.
So
continues all the way up until, just what was it? Probably within the last few, before the story. Once the story broke, everybody, I'm sure, stopped.
It's going on.
Right
now.
Because it went. Yeah, I'm sure in some ways it's still going on, obviously.
Yeah,
but
I said, man, we need to wash them out, and that's you got to utterly change it. You can't institute a new rule. You can't institute a new policy. This sort of thing goes all the way down.
Burn it down and rebuild. Yeah. Just burn it all down and rebuild. And that's going to...
But again, and so just connecting it back to the other thing I was saying, which I do believe they're related but separate issues, the quality of their product isn't good. And so now, for all those years when the fandom would just sort of be like, yeah, but they do really bomb video games. Now it's just who cares? Forget about them. The game sucks.
Well, not only that, your avenues to fulfill whatever hole was left there from there is vast. You've got plenty of ways to fill in that WoW-shaped hole or that Overwatch-shaped hole or whatever that hole might be. If you're getting away from it, and all signs point to a lot of people are. So you've got the Final Fantasy 14. You've got what's that free one we were playing? Or at least Warframe.
Oh man, I love Warframe.
I know. And not only on the Overwatch side, what is the comparison with Overwatch? Apex Legends or
right.
God, I don't know. Throw a rock and you're going to hit a type of Overwatch clone. Hearthstone, I guess maybe they don't have. Well, no, they got Magic. And probably some other card stuff. I don't really. That's the thing, man. I used the Activision Blizzard, whatever it is, the store overlay, the software, the client, for one game, and that was it. And that was I used it for Diablo 3 back in the day. That's why I originally got it. When we were playing together doing Diablo 3. And then I didn't touch it again until Destiny hit. And then when they were gone, I didn't touch it. I still haven't. I haven't touched it since. Because I just don't play any of those games. None of those games. I think I tried to once when that free-to-play Call of Duty released, the big arena playing thing. And I downloaded it, but I actually never launched it. Not a single time. So, so it's not really missing. What is Evan says, I'm gone off pre-orders as well. I got Elite Dangerous Odyssey DLC a few months back, and their launch did not go well. Well, they stopped it.
Oh boy, yeah, that's an age of belly aching right there, man. You talk about some dudes that have mismanaged their product.
Frontier, right?
Yep, they have done.
Which is sad to see because I was excited for some of those things Frontier was working on, not the Elite Dangerous thing, but the Planet Coaster they were working on. They were going to do. They're doing
very much in your wheelhouse,
right? Exactly, and they're doing the sequel to the Jurassic Park Zoo Sim thing, which I was surprised to see they were getting a sequel of that because I heard a lot of people hated it. But if they've improved it and if they had enough thought to say, well, we can make this better, or we can work. Obviously, given what we've got from the Elite Dangerous DLC, which I know are two different teams, but still. there's hope that they've improved upon it if you're actually going to make a sequel out of that. But I understand the whole Elite Dangerous thing was the DLC thing. They pulled that from the store, didn't they?
No, on the PC. On the PC, it's still there. What they did, if I remember correctly, is pull it from the. They shut down the pipeline for the console.
Okay.
Development
because of what had happened.
And pulled back and just concentrating on fixing the current mess as it is, which is going to take a minute.
Yeah.
It's going to absolutely take a minute.
Yeah.
And like I get that it's really cool for a lot of people. I don't play Elite because I want to walk around as a dude. I play Elite because I like spaceships. You know, I want to fly a spaceship.
I know. Trust me.
And so like, put all your time and energy into the spaceship. I'm with you. Start putting your time and energy into some whatever this is. No, man. Nope. You lose me. You lost me. I don't care. I like spaceships.
I know. I know you like.
I came to you for spaceships. Everybody's got guns. I want spaceships.
I know, and you want your VR with it, and you want your HOTAS with it, and there you go. You're all set.
Yeah, I don't understand why you diversifying your efforts here when you haven't even perfected the spaceship part of it yet.
Yeah, you talk about spaceships again, and God, I still haven't been able to play Flight Sim yet.
Yeah, it's man, talk about another pile of something or other. Like it's
really.
It's a year now, right? We're roughly on the 1 year anniversary of the game. It just came out for Xbox.
Yeah.
The Xbox Series platforms, which by all reports, really sort of really, really good relative and sort of exceeds expectations of what
understand right now that my Xbox Series X and PS5 are the most powerful machines I have in the house right now because I'm still running a 970 on my.
I mean, you should give it a shot. I mean, God bless Game Pass and all that. So
exactly.
You should give it an install on your series and take a look at it because again,
let me take all the other games off of it first while it installs.
That's true. It's it's a big one.
It's a beefy boy.
But it is. They have struggled with a lot of their underlying tech in the game in general for the last year. They have struggled with managing to push development forward for the other platforms, to push development forward for the things they had already promised, and also to deal with bugs and insufficiencies in the game as it launched. And so we're running up on a year now, and it's at kind of a crucial point, and it's still. Flight sims are strange, man. Are they a game? Of course they're a game, dude. The last what you remember when what was it? Flight Sim
X 10. Yeah.
Came out, right? I like flight sims. I'll treat them very seriously, but I will also download a freeware version of the Firefox with a little 2D graphic of Clint Eastwood,
which is exactly what I did.
I will also download the Batplane.
Yeah.
and
the Sea Duck,
every goofy and X-wings and stuff like that, right? So yeah, it's obviously a game, but mechanically, the tail, right? Like the long-term prospects of a flight sim it's crucial that the people who take it seriously, true simmers, like sim players, trust the product.
You mean like the guys who have multiple monitor setups, a HOTAS, a VR set?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Big nerds. Yeah, like giant nerds. Man, you kidding me? I've got 5. I also have bought a lot of various yokes and joysticks over the last year that I didn't need but wanted. So those kinds of people who really take the avionics seriously, they take the flight model seriously, they take all of that seriously, and they really need it working, really, really want it working. These are guys that do, straight through 9-10 hour real-time long-haul flights. And when your game crashes on approach 1 out of 3 times after a real-time 9-hour long-haul flight, well, maybe I just go back to X-Plane. Maybe I go back to P3D. Your product isn't good for the people in the long term, and it's too demanding for the people that just, are in it for the yucks.
Yeah.
And want to fly around in was it the Blues plane from tailspin.
Yeah,
you
sea
know
duck.
what I mean? Like,
the sea duck.
yeah. So like,
I'm just going to say it over and over because it's a sea duck. I noticed that Vince has joined in the chat room there. And of course, he's on push to talk, so he needs to come in. Vince, you there?
Hi, Scott.
There you are. Hey, Vince. Hey. There's James, Vince, Vince, Wendy, Vince, Vince. All these different people. Introduce everybody. What's
Hi, Wendy. I see you on the screen there.
Hi.
You're kind of just in the background, kind of laughing.
Yeah. Well, she had to hold down the fort while I ran downstairs for a hot minute.
No, James did that.
Well, I appreciate James for doing that. James. Yeah, very much. Vince, I mean, you were talking about FF14 earlier as well. Have you? You and I really don't talk about any other games than Destiny, from what we've been playing, because that's how we met. That's how I known you. But you did mention Final Fantasy 14. But outside of that and Destiny, what else have you been dipping your toes in as far as did you ever go into the WoW or the Overwatch stuff?
I did for a period of time. WoW was a short-lived excursion. I can't remember when I went in, but it was just to kind of feel out the game. And it was fun, but the further along I actually have real work to do, I had less and less time to put into it. So between that and Final Fantasy, ran out of time. But yeah, I didn't really get into the MMOs that heavy. I went into Final Fantasy really hard, but oh my goodness, that thing, there's a lot of stuff to do. I heard James talking about it before, where they respect your money and your time. They really do.
As compared to,
I don't know.
Pretty much any other. Yeah, pretty much all of them. And it's interesting. I say that, but I realize that actually has a very specific meaning. I'll frame it in terms of Destiny, which I haven't played for a long time, right? But I mean, I know you still do, and that's great. Like, it's cool. Obviously, like, the core gameplay loop there is unmatched.
Yeah, I was going to say,
perfect.
Don't worry, you're more than welcome to crap on it if you want to.
Oh yeah, please.
But the reasons
Destiny fan loves to hate on ourselves. Don't.
Yeah,
right.
Being a player of Destiny feels like being a U2 fan, really.
But
just everybody craps on it.
It was one of the reasons I got out of it is because I felt like the minute I fell behind, the minute I wasn't engaged at the level they wanted me to be engaged at, I was in a perpetual mode of scrambling to catch up.
Yeah.
And I was in fear. And Destiny was probably the first game
where
FOMO? I ever started to feel fear. Yeah. And yeah, FOMO is a real thing, but not so much about missing out, but of falling behind. If I don't do this, if I don't dedicate my Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights of playing just to keeping my head above water, I'll never get the whatever.
Mm-hmm. You're not wrong.
And that is, to me, I consider it vile. I consider that to be contemptuous of the player base. And Destiny's certainly not alone in doing it, but I felt it the sharpest with Destiny.
They have a tendency to, like, right now I just hit that level. I think Scott did, yesterday, he said in the chat, where there's a light level that you have to hit to do the, really advanced end game stuff, or at least competently. Because if you don't hit that, you're going to just fall on your face because everything will one-shot you. Mm-hmm. And it takes a huge amount of dedication to even get to that point. And when you get to that point, you do the content, you're like, was that worth it?
Yeah, is that all? Is that all there is? The famous line. Is that all there is?
Yeah, and then the fear of missing out thing. Like the big end game content right now is Vault of Glass. I think it's Master Mode or whatever. But that stuff, I think next season they're going to do the same thing. So if I don't get all the stuff I want to do in Master Mode this season, I have to do all of that grind again, unless they've announced something different. So like, I'm probably 35, 40 hours in this season alone just to get to where I was, just to do this stuff. And it I'm looking at next season like I'm going to play the story and then move on with my life because this is getting hard.
Yeah, and it takes a toll because this is supposed to be fun.
Yeah, it is fun, at least for the story part, and then it gets weird.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there are deep time commitments. There are deep grinds and deep time commitments in something like 14. But there is no there is generally no hey man, you didn't log in this week, so that's going on your permanent record. Sorry. It isn't, and there's no fear of that. Like, you come back, the game, and I'll say a couple more things in his favor. I mean, I'm like obviously not like a brand ambassador.
Sounded like Office Space there for.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to play this game this weekend.
I'm gonna need you to go ahead and collect 600 of this obscure, weird little currency, and you can have 5 a week. That'd be great if you could just log in every week until you're 64.
Yeah, right.
Thanks. But the in sort of a to kind of cap off, I think why I just really, and again, I haven't played this consistently. I've run away from this game plenty of times.
Yeah,
but it is also without a doubt the least toxic player environment I've ever been in, because they absolutely they administrate and they monitor bad behavior and are consistent. Like if somebody, and I'm not joking, like if you're a new player and you come into a dungeon, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, and then you just absolutely just like run around and are stupid and because you don't know what's going on. If somebody in the chat is like, you should go jump off a bridge or hang yourself or like whatever, like some random toxic thing, man, just go be like, hey, this guy said I should kill myself. And like, a pretty good chance that dude's gonna be put on ice. Like they don't tolerate it. They'll look at the chat logs and be like, yeah, he said words we don't like. He made fun of somebody for being new.
Yeah,
we don't like it. He's gone.
But on the flip,
very consistent.
Yeah, on the flip side of that, the best example I can give you is just this past week. I logged on because maybe I had I think it was on for like an hour, and I had to do 2 things. I had to run a dungeon, which I was able to join in on mid boss fight and get that completed, no problem. And then I had to run 3 harder legend lost sectors, which are harder difficulty to do. And I knew I could do these with a fire team, so I just put the thing out there. Can anybody want to join? Well, while I was waiting, I went ahead and just started up one. And some guy said, yeah, I've got nothing to do and I'm bored, so I want to help you out. That's great, and that's something I think you would probably see in Final Fantasy as well. Maybe not something in WoW. I don't know.
Oh, Lord, no. No, WoW is truly vile.
Hard to get a group, let alone do stuff.
So, yeah, I mean, it is nice in that regard, but, I mean, all the other things that you're saying about it obviously is practically true, but I still can't pull myself away from it. I'm still there, running what I run and doing what I'm doing.
Hey,
and
it is what it is,
yeah,
man. You
exactly.
find your satisfaction, even if that satisfaction doesn't involve joy.
Well,
it can still be a form of satisfaction.
Well, it's like we said about we've said it about Bungie before. It's like that the whole thing can be whatever it is, but they're the way they do their guns and shooting just completely pulls you back in, or at least keeps you occupied, keeps you coming back. There's something satisfying about their gunplay in what they do.
It almost feels like Halo 2 or 3 in the heyday way back in high school, as I remember that.
Which would make sense for them, obviously. And then I look towards, what was the other one that I was going to say? In what it doesn't have, completely forgotten where I was going with that comment. Dang, it was another game I was going to reference, or it might have been in the whole Destiny thing. It was talking about what we come back to, maybe not for the main game, but for some other part of it, and City of Heroes with their character creator. They could have released that as just a standalone, and I just made characters all day, regardless if I could do anything with them. It was just so many options and so much. You would spend just hours creating a character before you ever got to the game thing, and that was great for what it was. It's a lot of things that aren't necessarily the core of the game becomes the best part of the game. Of course, the shooting in Destiny is the kind of the core of the game, but
it is. You hope a lot of times that the developers themselves can acknowledge what really is the core of their game,
right? Before you make something else the core of it.
Yeah, and it takes a little humility as a developer, because I don't think it's unfair to call them artists. They are clearly artists, and artists they can auger in, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They can drive in on an idea that's maybe, at best not helpful, and at worst truly destructive, because it's their intent. And it's like, yeah, but they don't care about it. Like, the players don't care. They like this other thing. Like, I know. Like, your intent for the game is this, but it's not about you. You've got like 7 million players.
Mm-hmm.
You need to understand maybe like what really is great about your game, and then develop that.
Which again was one of the other complaints we had about Destiny or Bungie in general. I think was their test. We would question sometimes if they even tested some of the stuff they put out because of the bugs that they would get, but they were testing it on a level of nothing compared to what the people would put it through. You know what I'm saying? And of course that goes for almost any game of that type.
It's pretty common.
Yeah,
you're not wrong about that at all.
We've got a break here that we're going to take, and then we come back for our final segment. We will talk about, I guess, what
talk about some games you played, and not
I would love to
something dour about all of these endless reams of companies that destroy beautiful products.
Exactly. We'll be back with more of In-Game Chat right after this. Music here from The Surge 2. This track is called Downtown Jericho. We'll be right back. And welcome back to In-Game Chat. Music here from a game called Kill It With Fire. And James is probably aware of Kill It With Fire. It is a game about, killing spiders in the house.
I was going to say, if it didn't, it ought to be.
Yikes.
That's exactly what the game is about. It was published. I don't know who developed it. It may have been the same developer as the publisher, but Tiny Build. The guys who did Speedrunners and Hello Neighbor and a couple of other, they've done a lot. And that's one of their games, Kill It With Fire. You just go around the house and you kill a spider. And you can kill it with anything that you can try and find.
They're using an MP3. I just brought up that's bad. MP5, not MP3. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, kill it with audio. Kill it with this format of audio. Yes, a wave would be better. Anyway, so yeah, as far as what I've been playing, obviously, in trying to cover the ever how many years that James and I have talked about what we've been playing, Destiny has been it. Obviously, there's been a lot of games that I played in between then. Finally I finished up God of War a long time ago. I never got back to Horizon Zero Dawn, by the way. You picked that up on PC, didn't you, James?
Yeah, I did. Not when it came out. I gave it a solid 6 months, and it went through its update cycle. And I played it. I loved it. I thought it was really great. It was one of my, like I'd said earlier at the top of the show, overall, like I had a pretty decent, coronavirus, I guess you could say. Like, I got laid off from my job, but my savings plus like unemployment protections and all these other things, like, I stayed inside. I did my business. Like I was not forced into a situation where I still had to work. Mm-hmm. Had to live small, but like nonetheless, sat at my computer, played lots of video games, and had a few things where like I just didn't have a lot to do. My whole job in life was basically don't go anywhere, don't do anything, and. So it's like, all right, I got a handful of things, and I had a handful of really good experiences where I got to simply just make every day for like 2 weeks, kind of about playing a specific game, man. And I dove right into it, and I really, 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 really liked it a lot. I'm really looking forward to the sequel. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Oh, did you finish the whole story?
Yeah, I did. I just like went pretty much all the way through. I think I had one pause. And then went back, but I really, really liked Zero Dawn a lot. And like I said, by the time I got around to playing it, it was running perfectly well on PC. So
Yeah. I'll
very much
get,
enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll get back to it eventually, I guess. On the PS5, obviously, I'll have to start over because I don't remember anything about the controls, and I was pretty early on when I stopped. I got to some boss fight, and my autosave was at a horrible place during that fight, and so. And if it's got some other autosaves,
once the muscle memory leaves the room,
and it's
there's no way
gone.
of getting that back.
Yeah.
It is gone. It is so gone. So currently what I'm playing, I mean, outside of the regular stuff, currently I'm going back through Shadow of the Colossus, the remaster that Bluepoint did, because I never actually played that when I had it. And Wendy's enjoying watching me, go through all the different Colossus and play those. It's real fun to go back and do this. And I remember that thing released, I think, on my birthday back in 20 something. I don't exactly remember. It was an October release of 2013, I think, maybe 14. Wow. I don't remember. It goes back a ways, and so I remember though playing it now. I remember like, oh man, this is nice. It's like every time knock out a couple of bosses, you're done. You don't have to worry about sneaking around. You don't have to worry about missing out. You don't have to worry about whatever. You get on your horse, you go kill a giant, and you do it again. Nice, simple. And then I'm also playing. And one that's grown on me now, because I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to keep going in it, but I actually did, and I kind of want to finish it. Is Plague Tale. I don't know if any of you played that. The game about the rats.
I haven't. No, I totally haven't. I think I even own it.
Right.
I don't know. Like I play any of the stuff I buy, right?
I know, right? Same thing. Why would you do that? Buy a bunch of games, then not play them?
Yeah, like. I would spoil the fun for myself. You have no idea how fun it is to be a little inebriated, and you're like, oh man, yeah, it's a great game, and you buy it, and then later when you're sober, you're like, oh man, that would be a great game. I should buy it, and you're like, oh,
I already did.
I already bought it for myself. Thanks, me. A little special thing. Drunk me bought a game for sober me. What a nice guy. He buys all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, right, yeah.
New games on Steam, fun Amazon packages that I have no memory of. What a great guy.
The old humble bundles that you open 50 games. You're like, I'll get to those.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I see the whole thing every time. Every month I go through and I see my Steam library has moved, or the way it's set up now, it puts them in a line of most recently, I guess, obtained. And so Destiny is usually at the front of that, because I'm always clicking on that every time I play on the PC, and every time Humble Bundle comes around, I add those. It gets knocked down a little bit, but never all the way off. It always comes back. But yeah, so yeah, I see that stuff. But do I ever play those Humble games? No, they're there. And I'm glad that they're there, because at some point I'll go back and play them. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
the desert island thing, man. You and your computer without internet are magically transported to a desert island. At least you have 580 games to play.
Right. And no storage to put them on.
Trying to connect to Destiny.
Yeah. So, there's that. Plague Tale, about the rats. That thing has gotten... it's gotten better. I'm worried that... Again, it's hard for me to give a critique of repetitiveness when, again, I talk about what I do each weekend playing Destiny. You are repeating that, but
but there's always live players in Destiny. When a computer AI does it over and over and over,
right? Yeah. There's that, and there's also the reward at the end, as far as you're. The reason I'm going through this again is because I'm trying to get something that is better than what I got the first time, or more of something, or whatever it may be. It's not just to go through this again. It is to go through it again to advance. And and I guess that's what you do in the single player aspect of it. But I think that A Plague's Tale is more trying to tell a story than they are trying to put, I suppose, a bunch of bells and whistles in their game, because the combat is limited. It is more of just either sneaking around or finding out a way to get across a certain point and not get eaten by the massive rats that are all around. So that just seems to be the way of the progression. Is here you go. Here's a section of rats. All right, here's a section of soldiers. Here's a section of rats. Here's a section of soldiers. Here's a section of rats and soldiers. And so it's just this over and over and over again. I'm not saying it is getting repetitive yet because I play about a chapter every time I get into it. Just one chapter and then I'm done. So I haven't kept going with that, but I feel like it would eventually hit that wall.
What keeps bringing you back? Is like the world there? Is the story good?
I'll tell you what keeps bringing me back is every time I look up something about it, most of everything I read about it says, here's a game you might have missed, but you really should play. Here's a game that you should. They related a lot to Hellblade, which is also a game I haven't played, but they related a lot to that of maybe, I don't know if it's a hidden gem or something like that, but I'm not sure. Hellblade, I heard, was very, very good. Won a lot of awards. Story-wise, probably very good. I haven't played it. I have it, but I haven't played it. Have either of you played Hellblade?
No. I played the part where you buy it and download it. That's the only part I played.
That's it. Well, yeah, same thing. Probably have it twice, actually. I think I got it from something and then bought it on a sale on a different...
See...
whatever, yeah.
I do these things where like I'll look at a game like that's great to play, and then I'll look at my schedule for the next 2 weeks and go, I'll never play that. And then I end up watching Twitch streams, especially when they come out, because like, should I buy a game? That's actually one of the first places I'll go and take a look at what the game's like, because demos are so hard to come by nowadays.
Yeah, it's one of the best things about Twitch, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Like I buy games repeatedly, like the streamers are playing.
What was
like,
the last game you bought? What was the last game you bought?
Hold on, I have to look. I think it was
and when?
It was probably Among Us, actually.
I haven't touched it. Is that free? No, that's you pay for that.
No,
right?
It's not free.
Yeah,
my brother wanted to play it. It's interesting, but man, it gets old fast.
Yeah, that I haven't touched. Fall Guys got old.
I bought the FF1 Final Fantasy Pixel remake right before the show. That's the last game I bought.
Yeah. Last game.
I bought a game in like 2 days, and I was getting itchy.
Yeah, the last game I think I bought was Celeste on the Nintendo Switch, and then realized it was on Game Pass after I paid it. So, it was on sale. I bought it $5 for the Switch, and then here it is on Game Pass. Well, what did I do that for? Well.
See, Steam does this nice thing where they hide your purchase history.
They do, but they also won't let you buy a game twice. They'll know that.
Yeah.
But, well, I say that you could also buy it on Epic and not know that you already own it on Steam, I suppose.
Yeah,
which is a possibility there. So, what else did we recently get back into? GTA 5. I think I jumped back into.
Really?
I keep going back to a stupid little game called Nova Drift. Imagine asteroids except with interesting weapons.
PC.
I don't know why. I just keep coming back to that because that like 2D like bullet hell, I think they're called. It's just fun to play sometimes, but yeah.
RJ's big into the bullet hell.
I went deep underwater with Mass Effect Legendary Edition when that came out.
Yep.
That was a. I mean, I played them all before, but I played them, in the order they come out, when they came out, and going back into it, and I played them on console.
Yeah.
And I know they've been on PC forever, but the problem has really been sort of the cost of reobtaining all the DLC. So having everything together, modified, sort of functionally reworked in certain aspects, I obsessively played it. I did 3 back-to-back playthroughs. The mod community woke all the way back up, started porting all the old mods from the Mass Effect PC stuff back over. It's been huge.
Are you going to go back to
crap out of it?
You going to go back to Dead Space?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
100%. I love Dead Space, and if they're giving it a rework, perfectly good.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they could have done more with the Legendary Edition. There were plenty of people that are kind of purists and huge fans that are like, this exact version of a thing they did is unacceptable, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's awesome. It's
I would love to experience that game, but I cannot do horror. The feeling of somebody sneaking behind me in the middle of the night when I'm playing, and then if I let out a noise and I wake somebody up, I'm going to get in trouble.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was really, really good.
Hey,
so I'm looking forward to it, and they did a good job with Legendary Edition. So EA can keep on not being horrible. That'd be great.
Vince, I will tell you, the best way to play the horror games is to get James to come over and play them while you watch with a group of people. Because we did that. That's the way we did that.
Yeah.
I'll just watch him on Twitch and complain to him during a live show.
There's simply nothing better than a new Resident Evil, than a new Dead Space, than a new horror game of any sort. And you get like 8 or 10 people in the room together, and like one guy plays it, everybody else like tries to like help solve the puzzles or like figure out where you're supposed to be going, and then they all like scream or like get like super uncomfortable when you know it's about to be a jump scare scene, and then it isn't, but then oh my god, it is. You know,
the last time that happened to me, we were playing Resident Evil, and we had somebody with us who didn't play games at all. And she's like, "Oh, shoot the water." And this was, I can't remember which Resident Evil this was, but you shot the water at this specific spot, and out of nowhere, the fish comes and eats you. I have never heard my buddy scream like that ever again.
Yeah, horror games in a group is great, man. It's one of the greatest all-time things in the world. Love it to death.
Having you guys on has been great as well. Thank you so much. We are kind of at the end of the show here.
Fun.
It's fun to get you back, man, and you know,
it burns a half an hour
until I have to go back to work.
Yeah, it's very, very quick. But hopefully you'll do it again, Vince. Hope you'll join us as well. I mean, this is what we got Discord for, so we get more people involved with the show and talking to us. So thank you guys both.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks
for having me here.
All right, take care. Thanks everybody else for joining us in the chat room, and as well as listening on the stream and on the radio as well. Thanks everybody who gets us each week from iTunes and wherever else. Join our Discord so you can chat with us online with us. Do that. And also join us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on Twitter. We're everywhere, but we want you to join us where we're at. So make sure you do that. Thanks, everybody in the chat room. You guys have a fantastic week. We will see you next Saturday. Music here from a game called Elderborn. It is the track is Point of No Return. We will see you next Saturday.